Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. Now, today we will discuss first about the topic that is named as the object cloning. The topic in Java, the name is object cloning. So first we will know what is the name of the object cloning in Java. Now, the object cloning means to create an exact copy of an object. So the object cloning is basically it is the way to create exact copy of an object. So exact copy of an object should be done. And there is a clone method. The method name is clone. This clone method of object class is used to clone an object. So object cloning means what? Create exact copy of an object. So object 1, let's say we have two object 1 and object 2, both are same. Now there is what? There is an interface present, and that is what? It is present in the java.lang package, which is present in the java.lang package, and the particular interface name is what? Clonable interface. So how we will write java.lang.clonable? Because we write like this java.lang package. If there is class present, we give the class name. Here in this package, there is also the interface present. Not only there that in the package, only the class will be present. In the package, the interface can also be present. So this interface is what? This interface name is clonable. This clonable interface present in the java.lang package, and this must be implemented. This must be implemented during the our object cloning time. So must be implemented by the class. So what happens? That means the class you are using, that class will implement this clonable interface. So if we do not implement the clonable interface during this object cloning time, if we do not implement the clonable interface, then the clone method will generate an exception, and that exception name will be what? That exception name will be clone not supported exception. So these things, if you want object cloning, so if you want to do object cloning, you have to implement the clonable method to your class. Because if you didn't implement this clonable interface, then the clone method will generate an exception. That exception name will be clone not supported exception. So how we will do that? We will see that. Now, before that, you can say, yes, then why the clone method it is using we have? Because using the new keyword, we also can create another object and assign the value of it. This is also possible. Yes, this is possible. This is also possible that you create another object using the new keyword, and after that you can write object 1 equal to object 2. You can write that. It is also possible. But why we use the clone method? The clone method basically saves the extra period, means extra processing task for creating the exact copy of an object. So if we perform this by using the new keyword, then it will take a lot of processing time. So basically, to reduce the processing time, we use this clone method. You can use using the new keyword also, creating the object and then assign to object and saying these two objects are same. You can do that also, but it will take much more processing time. But if we using the clone method, then the processing time will be what? The processing time will be reduced, and that's why we use the object cloning method. Now we will see the first program that how this object cloning method works. So first, let's take an example, like we are using class, and let's say we are giving this class name as student. This is the class name we are giving. Implements clonable. This is what, this is the our clonable interface. This is the clonable interface which we are using, clonable. Sorry, this name should be CLONEABLE, clonable. Then inside of it, let's say we are taking roll number. We are taking roll number and string name. So two things we are taking. Now here, this is the constructor we are using, name student, int roll number and string name. So if these things happen that both name, the parameters same, parameters and this variable name are same, then what keyword we use? We use this keyword. This keyword always specify to the current object. So this dot roll number equal to roll number, right? Again, this dot name equal to name. Okay, so this is the constructor we have already created. Now we will use the clone method. So the general syntax of it is public object. This is the object class, object clone throws clone not exception, and inside of it return super dot clone. So this is the clone method. Now it can throw some exception. So that's why we are using throws keyword, throws, and the exception that can be generated. This is what that name is, clone not supported exception. So that's why we have used it like this. Then public static void main, inside of it string args, and inside of it we are using try catch block. So here first what we will do, we will create student class object. So let's say student s1 equal to new student, and roll number, so let's say 01, and name is, let's say, Saurav. We are passing. Then same class, another object we are creating of that same class, s2. Now you will see that here what I will do. Here I will not do that again. I will not write new student and again 0 on 1 showed up. That means these two will be same. But I will not use the new keyword here, because new keyword will take much more processing time. So that's why I am using the object cloning. So what we will do here, first the class name should be written. The class name is what? Student. Then the object one. So this is what? S1. So we will write the S1 dot clone, and now let's say we will write system dot out dot println S1 dot roll number S1 same as that. For we will write here also, here this will be S2. So first roll number will be shown, then name will be shown. So we will see in both these cases, in both this case the same value will be shown. That in the first time it will print 01 showed up, second time also it will print 01 showed up. So that's why, that's how, this is the process, this is the main process for the object cloning. This is the main process, that first time when I have created the object, I have passed the parameter like this, and after that when I created the second object, in that case you see, instead of using the new keyword and passing the same parameter again, we have used the clone method. So how we will use the clone method? First in the bracket you should have to maintain the class name. You have to mention the class name which you are using. So here I have student, so the student class name is mentioned. Now which object you are copying? You are copying, that means this S1 is containing 01 showed up. So that means what? We want to see this value in this object also. When we print this, we want to see this value also. So whom? This will be same. So that's why with this S1, in this S1, this is stored, this parameter is stored in the S1. So same thing we want to see in the S2 also. So that means from whom? From which object? It is previously stored, S1, it is previously stored. So that's why we have to mention that, and with that we have to use the or call the clone method. So that's why using S1 we are calling the clone method. If in that case it is, let's say in this S2 we have the values in S2 and we want to be cloning it, then in that time what we have to mention, S1 equal to student, then S2 dot clone. If we want to copy the value in the S1, here we want to copy the value of S1 into S2. So that's why whom value it is, S1 value it is. So that's why we have mentioned this, that S1. And with that we have to call the clone method. So these things we have done here also. Then after that, so we have mentioned, now this can throw exception. These statements can throw exception. So that's why what we have to do, we have to mention these statements inside the try block. So because try block will throw an, if it is any exception is generated, then it will throw that exception. So that's why the statement that can throw exception, we place it into the try block. So if try block is there, then similarly we have to mention the catch block also, because this catch block will hold the our exception. So here what I have told, that if exception is generated, then this type of exception is generated. Like you have seen that if any arithmetic exception generated, then arithmetic, we have seen the arithmetic exception. If there is from arrays case, if there is any command line argument, if we pass any value, but if there is in case the exception is generated array out of bound, that we have specified the space, but we are not giving the value. In that case, what type of exception is generated? Array out of bound exception. Same as that, this is also an exception. It is generated duration of the object cloning. The name of that is the clone not supported exception. The name is clone not supported exception. So that's why here I am mentioning the name. It is here I am mentioning the name clone not supported exception. If you didn't able to remember that, if it is not always, there is sometimes you may forget, then always think, always do one thing, write exception, because exception is a super class. Or you write the throwable class also, because throwable is the super class. So super class can handle all the exceptions, all type of exceptions it can handle. So you can mention that also. But the best use it is that what type of an exception is generated. If you able to remember that, then mention that. But if you didn't able to remember, in that case you will write the super classes, because super class can handle all type of exception. It can handle arithmetic type exception also. It can handle our array out of bound exception also. It can handle the clone not supported exception. All the exceptions will handle by the super class. But here main the good programming thing is that the particular exception class you will write, then it may think that you will able to know that what type of exception is it. So here I am mentioning that particular exceptions, clone not supported exception, object. So this will hold that if any exception is generated, it will hold that. And so first, this is all the about the programming section. That first what we have done, we have implemented the clonable interface, and after implementing the clonable interface, what inside of it we have assigned the constructor, we have created the constructor and assigned the value here, and after that we have used this object dot clone method, and if it is any exception is generated, inside of it we are mentioning the object, and this object we using the clone method, and after we print that value. So now we will see that it is how it can be it is after executing or after running what happens, we will see that. So I am giving the name as, let's say, student dot java. So now we will run this. So cd Yes, that means the bytecode is already created. We see, yes, the bytecode is already created. Then you see the value is printed 1, then showed up. Same for this case, the value is printed for this, and this also the same value is printed. Now how this can be done? This can be done using this cloning. Using this cloning, we have done that we are copying the object. We are copying one object into another. We are copying that. So this is the form of the object cloning. This is the form, it is known as the object cloning. Okay, clear to everyone? It is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the object cloning. So this is the first program which we discussed. Now we will see the concept of the our wrapper classes. So wrapper classes we have already discussed in the class also, the wrapper class concept. So again we will discuss that the wrapper class concept. So okay, so the wrapper classes concept we have already discussed, and we have two types, that auto boxing and unboxing. Auto boxing and unboxing, which we have seen, that auto boxing is basically what? It is the automatic conversion of the primitive data. So the primitive type we have seen that there is the primitive data type and there is the wrapper class. So auto boxing is basically what we have seen, two types, auto boxing and unboxing. These two types. Then auto boxing is what? Auto boxing is basically the conversion from primitive type to the corresponding wrapper class. And unboxing is what? Unboxing is just the opposite. That means automatic conversion of the wrapper type to the corresponding primitive type. This is the unboxing. So we have already seen that primitive type. If in this primitive type the name is boolean, then in the wrapper class the name will be capital B OOLEAN, boolean. For character case, the concept in the primitive is char. In the primitive it is char, but for the wrapper class this will be named as the character. This will be named as the character. So if you remember, I have discussed this in the class. Same as if there is integer, then in the primitive type it will be int, but in the wrapper class it will be integer. It will be integer, but for it will be in the primitive type it will be int, but for wrapper class it will be integer class. For long, in these two cases, for character and char and int, these are the primitive type, and this is the wrapper class for character, integer. For all other cases, the same for boolean, byte, short, then long, float, double, all of these are primitive type, and the name are same for wrapper classes also, but the first letter should be capital. Only this is the difference. But in this two case, it will be character. For integer, it will be integer. But for other cases, only the difference is for the wrapper class, the first letter is caps lock, means capital. Caps lock, not the first letter will be capital letter. This is the thing. That means if in the primitive type it is Boolean, then wrapper class concept it will be Boolean and B will be capital. For long, it will be long. For in the wrapper class, it will be capital LONG, long. So this, how many types of wrapper classes we have? We have total 8 wrapper classes in our Java. We have 8 wrapper classes. If this total will consist, then 8 wrapper classes are present. So autoboxing is what? Autoboxing is basically conversion of this primitive data type into the corresponding wrapper class. For example, it is, this is from converting char to character, and unboxing is what? Conversion of character to char. So this is primitive to wrapper, and in the case of unboxing, wrapper to primitive. This is the basic thing in the wrapper class. So let's discuss, and we will see a program of the wrapper class, that how it works. We will see. So first one we will using, let's say, public class wrapper. Example 1. Okay, then public static void main string then here first we are doing the autoboxing. So autoboxing means conversion from primitive to wrapper class. So that means, let's say we are using int a equal to 27, because here we are using, you see, primitive data type, because we want to conversion into the wrapper class here. So let's do this. So for doing this, we have to use integer class, and let's say we are calling that integer class object as I. So integer class object is I, integer dot value of command a. Integer j equal to a. Okay, so basically what it is doing, this statement, what is the statement function? It is converting, this statement, it is converting int into the integer explicitly. That means we want that our int, because in primitive type it is int, this int should be converted into the integer type. So that's why what we do, we have created the integer class object, and with this integer class object we call the value of method. This value of method will do what? Here we are passing a as a parameter. Now a is what? Integer. So this value of method will calling by whom? We calling by the integer. So that means this a is the integer value, this a is int. So this int will be converted into the integer value. This int will be converted into the integer explicitly, because here we are calling from which? We are calling first creating integer class object, and with this integer class we are calling the value of method, and inside this value of method we are passing a parameter as a int type data. So that means this int type data will be converted in which wrapper class? We are calling it with the integer. So that means this will be converted into the this integer wrapper class. So it is what? It is the conversion of explicitly, conversion of int to integer explicitly. And but there is a this auto boxing case. It is the auto boxing. This statement is mainly the auto boxing. This is the conversion of explicitly from int to integer. From int to integer, it is explicitly we are doing the conversion. But the auto boxing is basically this statement, that here you see we didn't write anything. We have only used the keyword integer, and after that we use a variable name j equal to a. So what compiler will do? Compiler will automatically write this integer dot value internally. No need to mention, always we do not have to mention this. No need to mention explicitly, because if we write like this, then the integer dot value of this statement or this command, this will be internally called by the compiler. So if we write like this, then what will happen? Then our compiler will automatically call this integer dot value of method internally. So this operations will perform. No need to mention. It is not important that you have to mention this integer dot value of. If you didn't mention also, no problem, because compiler will understand this and will automatically internally call this integer dot value of method. That is the second case we have. And here you see, after that, system dot out println. So we see class I you see all this in all the cases, because in the A it is 27 for I and J. In both these cases, you see in the I also the 27 printed, in the J also the 27 printed. So this is what? This is the auto boxing. This is the auto boxing, that it is the conversion from primitive type to the our wrapper class. You can both way you can do this. First one is explicitly you mention, and if you didn't mention also, then this you can also done. Both way you can done, you will get the result. Okay, so this is the concept of the auto boxing. So now we will do what? Another thing we will see. So now we will see our concept of unboxing. The unboxing concept we will see. So same thing, let's say we have to do the same like that. We will see the unboxing concept. Here we are naming the classes. Now